Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. I'm Jeff, and this is Joel, and we're going to be telling you about Pink Elephant. But before we do that, Pink Elephant, it's a peer-to-peer network that brings trust and transparency back into B2B buying and selling of technology products like software and services. And I'm also bringing Sally back. Sally got her medical bills taken care of by Health Hack. And so now Sally is a marketing and sales leader at IBM. And she's got a big responsibility. They're looking for her to grow revenue for a big product line, a software product line at IBM. But she's dealing with a big challenge, which is that buyers today don't really trust sellers or marketers. And I can validate this because I've done over 1,000 buyer interviews as an analyst at Forrester and also in my current B2B startup. And I've learned over and over again in every one of those interviews that buyers put way more trust in their peers and colleagues than they do in a company's sales and marketing messages. And I've also done over 100 interviews with CMOs to validate that they have this problem. It's one of their biggest problems, and they're already spending a lot of money trying to solve this problem. And what are they doing to try to solve this problem? They're doing a lot of the classic things like writing customer case studies and producing reference programs. But it's really hard because it's a struggle to get customers to play, and because it's such a burden on the customer to participate in these things. And it's a huge time to manage this. They're also using product review sites. They're participating there and trying to get their customers to write review on G2 Crowd, TrustRadius, Capterra, and sites like that. The problem with that, though, is that there's nothing in it for the customer. And Pink Elephant's going to solve that because we provide both an intrinsic and extrinsic reward for the customer to participate. And also the other problem with those review sites is that the vendors game the systems. They're either paying their customers cash under the table to bribe them to write these reviews, or they're filling the system with fake reviews. And so we're going to provide authentic, verified voice of the customer. So what is it? This is our peer-to-peer network. So what's Sally going to pay us to do? Well, this is a network where Sally, as a marketer, she can invite her customers to come in and share their knowledge, experience, and advice into this network in the form of these customer stories. And then buyers who are making some of these significant purchases that might have a lot of risk to their career, they're now able to come in and consume these stories and make a much more intelligent and informed and trusted buying decision, as well as getting more insights on how to be more successful with that technology or with the project that they have underway. Then there's an incentive for both of them, or for all players in this market, to contribute, curate, and consume these stories in the market. And they're both going to be building their reputation, as you'll hear about in a second.
So our solution is tokenized user community. So a seller encourages existing users to help potential users. Existing users get token, potential users get authentic review, and the seller get more customers. Here, the most important thing in cryptocurrency world is how to distribute the cryptocurrency. So our model is the creator who is existing users who write review, they will get token if they get votes, and the early voter also gets a token from later voter, and we have a buyback mechanism to make sure our token has intrinsic value. And everyone hits the big review, and we solve this problem through verified purchase by token. And the tokenized user community is proved by the Steemit like solution.
Thanks, Joel. And the revenue model here is that revenue initially is going to come from vendors paying us to buy tokens to use to reward both their customers for producing content and their buyers who are consuming this content, and then coming to them with more informed decisions. And also, think about it, highly qualified leads. So a prospect who's been on this site viewing these stories and raises their hand saying, I'd like to learn more about this vendor, is already going to be very predisposed to working with this vendor. So that's a super high qualified lead.
Thank you so much, Pink Elephant, and now the judges will take it away.
So, in terms of the technical design or the technical solution, I saw the wireframes here, but what were, like, going back to the question here of Clemens, what did you do over the weekend? What is the technical solution here? Other than creating a token economy, yes. So are you planning to do an ICO, or how do you take it further?
No, we will not do ICO. First, we will use the Ethereum-based token.
Okay.
Okay, and we will airdrop token to our partners. Our partners will be software vendors. So they will send the token to their existing customers and their potential customers. And at the first stage, we will buy back some tokens. So users will feel, oh, this has value. Then later, the software vendor, they will buy token to encourage their existing users to write review. So there is some other buyback solution.
So you're essentially creating an Ethereum private network? Is that what you want to do? Is it a permissioned solution, or how does blockchain figure into the whole thing? Why is the technology providing you with some solution which is not viable before?
Okay, so, we use blockchain in two places. One is use the cryptocurrency as an incentive strategy. The second is we will have another token for verified purchase. So basically, the seller has some public key, and their existing users have private key. So we will use it as to verify they are the real users.
How do you verify the quality? How do you verify the quality of the review that you're getting? So you're providing an incentive for people to submit lots and lots of reviews, but there's no way to. But then you're paying them regardless of the quality or the content of that review.
The people who write review, if they get more votes, they will get more token. So this kind of thing is improved by Steam community. Steam is like the blog community. They use this kind of mechanism to make sure the high quality stuff serve up.
And then could you speak, so when I hear this kind of business model for companies that want to basically overlay use of an existing blockchain to solve, maybe to increase some efficiency or get a product market fit or some supply-demand optimization. Number one, I like that you're starting with a business reality with marketing budgets and people that are motivated, but I wonder about readiness. There's readiness, value, and fit. So I think it seems like there's a value proposition here for marketing folks to have better validated information and a better idea flow that's verified. I wonder about the readiness and the fit for these markets. So these folks aren't already bought into a cryptocurrency? Like, would US dollars not be a better fit and more ready for your idea?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, there are a lot of talk about US dollar, which one is good, but the token has some features that's better than US dollar. For example, if you give US dollar, give me $20 to write a review, I don't think the $20 makes sense. But if you give me token, since I guess more and more vendor will buy back the token. I will hold my token. I will think token has more value than the US dollar, because US dollar, you have $20, it will not change.
Okay, and how would you test that hypothesis, that business hypothesis, that people would be sufficiently motivated by a token to actually go through this whole life cycle of customers, buyers, curation in this entire system?
Yeah, that's steamy. Okay. Actually, there are two words. There are cryptocurrency world and there are world outside cryptocurrency. In the cryptocurrency world, this kind of model is somehow proved by some system, by some other site. So we introduced this model to the real world. And yes, there are some risks that this model will not work. So we have some trick to buy back the token to make sure user understand that this token has value.
Okay, and the question was just how would you test the hypothesis so you would know whether to adapt your current idea? Like what criteria would you use? Like how would you test whether this is working?
So can we get the last question?
That's it.
I can answer that.
I'll answer it from the business perspective. So that was the question, how would we test the hypothesis?
That's the question.
Yeah, so as Joel said, there's examples of other networks like Steemit already doing this. I think the way we would test it is the same way I've tested it in my current startup, which is where I've validated that these marketers are willing to pay upwards of $40,000 or $50,000 a year to get access to really validated customer stories. And so I would test it with working with some initial customers of this concept to see how is it that their customers react. And so I've got a whole methodology from my work at Forrester that I've put into place that shows that customers, if you ask them to share testimonials, endorsements, or recommendations, they won't because there's nothing in it for them. But if you ask them to share their knowledge, experience, and advice in a way that they're building their social capital and their reputation within their companies and within their industries, they're going to be a lot more willing to play. So that's the intrinsic motivation already. What we're doing is layering on top of that intrinsic motivation, the coin, for participating. That's just really a bonus. And we're not expecting that's the only reason, but that's an added bonus. And so we would test that. Is that going to be enough to get you to write a story, or share an experience or advice with about your project and the success that you had doing that.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Alvin. That was excellent. So, can you maybe